Today we're going to start a new unit on ratios. In your notebook, under page 33, for the table of contents, write down ratios as your topic. Then turn to your next clean page in your notebook to write down today's learning goal. Today's learning goal is I can use a ratio to compare two numbers. After that, write down what you know and leave space at the bottom of your page for your what you learned, your proof, and your reflection. Pause the video until you have your first page of your notes complete. A ratio compares two things. It can either compare a part to a part to a whole, or a whole to a part. The word to compares the two terms in a ratio. You can write a ratio in three different ways, and we're going to talk about those three different ways that you can compare a ratio now. So the three different ways we can write a ratio to compare the number of squares to all shapes. So if you look at the picture, we have 1, 2, 3 squares, and then the total number of shapes, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shapes. So our ratio comparing the number of squares to all the shapes is 3 to 8. So we just compared things using a part to whole relationship because we were comparing part of the set to the entire set of shapes. So we said our ratio was 3 to 8. So we can write our ratio in three different ways. The first way, we can use a symbol. So in this first way, we write it as 3:8. And a colon is a symbol that we use to write a ratio, and that's the first one that we have up here. The other way we can write a ratio is to use the word to. And we use the word to compare the two parts, 3 to 8. And the third way we can write a ratio is as a fraction. So we write 3/8. You could also write it as 3/8, just as we would write a fraction. The first term is the numerator, and then the second term is the denominator. For part-to-part ratios, we can compare the squares to trapezoids. So let's look back up at the top. Now so we're comparing squares to trapezoids. We have 1, 2, 3 squares, and we have 1, 2 trapezoids. So to show that ratio, it would be 3 to 2. Now, when we're writing down our ratios, it's important that whatever comes first in the comparison, and we were comparing squares to trapezoids, so squares came first, so in our ratio, the number that represents the number of squares has to come first. The second thing in our comparison, trapezoids, has to come second in our ratio. So let's try writing this ratio. For every 2 white roses in a bouquet, the florist uses 3 red roses. Draw a picture to represent the situation. Well, first let's look at the ratio. We're comparing the number of white roses to the number of red roses. We have 2 white roses compared to 3 red roses. So to draw a picture to represent your situation, I want you in your notebooks to draw 2 white roses and 3 red roses. And here is a picture of my comparison of 2 white roses to 3 red roses. One other thing we need to talk about are equivalent ratios. Equivalent ratios, I think of, are very similar to equivalent fractions. So if we look at the ratio 4 to 5, that ratio is the same as 8 to 10. So if we look at our original ratio of 4 to 5 and we multiply both parts of our ratio by 2, we get the ratio of 8 to 10. And that is why they are equivalent. Let's look at this example. A recipe for pancakes uses 3 cups of flour and 2 cups of milk. I want you to write this as a ratio in 3 different ways. One way we can write our ratios is by using a colon. So 3, 2, 2. And remember the number of cups for pancakes of flour, the cups of flour needs to come first, and then our number of cups of milk. The other way we can write this is by using the word 2. So 3, 2, 2. And last but not least, we can write it as a fraction. 3, 2, 2. So that is how we write ratios 3 different ways. And in this ratio, we are comparing part-to-part relationships.